Good morning, Toronto. Good morning, Canada. Welcome back to BT. Meredith Shaw Sitzixero here with you. We're going to bring up now a story that has really kind of taken on a life of its own here in a very short period of time. And it involves Canadian music legend Buffy Sainte-Marie, member of the Order of Canada. The CBC published a bombshell investigation calling into doubt the Indigenous ancestry of Buffy Sainte-Marie. For years, Sainte-Marie has said she was adopted by a white American couple as a baby. But CBC says to have found her birth certificate identifying her as Beverly Jean Santa Maria, born to Albert and Winfred Santa Maria, who declared their race as white on the document in the state of Massachusetts. Sainte-Marie called the allegations hurtful and went on to say, quote, "I don't know where I'm from or who my birth parents were. I'll never really know, which is why to be questioned in this way today is painful, both for me and for my two families I love so dearly." The Fifth Estate did release, I believe, a 50-minute episode on their investigation Friday, which has already gotten, to no one's surprise, a ton of views online. And yeah, I didn't see this one coming, Mayor, and this is getting a lot of different types of reaction. How did you initially absorb it?
Well, with shock, I think, a lot of people feeling very much that way. And then, wanted to know more. I think, these are early days in a lot of this information. I mean, she has our highest civilian honor. Her work speaks for herself, both, within the community here in Canada and also internationally. So these are allegations, information, discoveries that need to be taken incredibly seriously. But, I myself, I am not Indigenous. And so I looked to what are the Indigenous communities saying about this. And I did find a woman out of University of Regina, Laurie Campbell, who said, this isn't a story about whether Buffy Sainte-Marie, musical icon, activist, community member, and beloved auntie is biologically Indigenous, but rather it's more important to understand the deep impact this report is casting on the singer's ancestry, is having on Indigenous lands, and how the fallout from this report shows what reconciliation is not. And so I have to really align with that for a moment and think about the impact that this kind of bombshell is having on Indigenous land and Indigenous peoples across this country. And I think much care needs to be taken in the dissension of this information and how it's dealt with, because we are talking about reconciliation in this country. Obviously, integrity and honesty is paramount, but we do have to understand the impact of this kind of information.
I agree with all of that. A couple things. I am curious why the CBC thought this was a priority like this. I really hope going forward we challenge publicly elected officials the same way. There's a lot going on in this country and I don't like it. So I want to say that, because I think CBC takes a lot of hits for no reason. This is a strange editorial decision for me. I just want to lay that out there. Secondly, I've seen pieces like this where it's like a disgruntled cousin and a niece, and that's all that the reporter has. This was not that. For those of you who haven't seen this, there are several documents that are unearthed here. Mm-hmm. So I've seen hit jobs before. This is not necessarily one of them. And Buffy Sainte-Marie, even in her statement, which I've gone over multiple times, refers to her Indigenous identity. It's never roots. It's Indigenous identity. So for those people who are really upset at this, I mean, there are things to grab here, okay? I'm being honest, there are things to grab. The one thing, though, that I'm left with is a part of a Buffy Sainte-Marie's statement that went as follows, if you don't mind, Mayor. For my entire life, I have championed Indigenous and Native American causes when nobody else would, or had the platform to do so. I am proud to have been able to speak up for Indigenous issues. I have always tried to bridge gaps between communities and educate people to live in love and kindness. I don't know what this is. I have to be honest. This is a new one for me. But what I can tell you is the work that Buffy has done in this country for Indigenous communities, for Indigenous artists, for people who never have felt they had a real voice. She has been more active and helpful and significant than most prime ministers I know. So whatever side of the story you're on, and again, I encourage you to just watch it and make up your own mind.
Be informed on
Be
this one.
informed. Because work did go into this. But whatever side you're on, nothing takes away from the fact she has been an ally
Oh,
in a country and in a continent that haven't had too many of a high profile. Nothing will change that. And it bothers me that some people think that's all changed. No. That happened. Work for artists, work for communities, nothing erases that.
clean water.
All of it.
Her work is, significant is not a big enough word.
No, it isn't.
For her contribution.
So for that, I'll always thank Buffy Sainte-Marie. We can go down the road on a bunch of other things that we don't have time for. I'm probably not qualified to talk about. But in terms of that, she'll always have my respect. Because a lot of people in a lot more important positions have had a chance to do a lot of good things in this country for a long time and walked on that and haven't done a thing. Yet get elected and campaign on how much of an ally they are when nothing could be further from the truth. So to Buffy and the work that she's done, I will eternally applaud her, regardless of what the news cycle looks like. And I wanted to get that one out there because it did bother me. And again, thank you for the platform for saying that.
And I think in this moment, I hope as this discussion continues, because like we said, we're early days, I hope we are led by Indigenous leaders in this moment. I hope that is who leads this conversation, because the impact is felt most there.
For sure.
Yeah.
We're going to take a break, 8:57 on BT or Breakfast Television after this.